So what do I do for wound care after surgery? That's the hard part because the surgery is the fun stuff. And we get excited and we do our flap or we do our excision, and that's where the adrenaline rushes. And we get to the end of the procedure and we're tired and we like to almost ignore the wound care. That's the nurse's job because we've done the fun stuff already. We're washed out, we're finished. But for the patient, they are so excited about what their dressing is going to look like. They want to know how big the scar is. They also are asking, what does the scar look like? There are so many different dressings available these days, it makes it very complicated, and everyone likes using the brand name of the dressing, which again makes it even more complicated because it can be the same dressing under 4 different brand names from 4 different providers, and I'm never quite sure which one is which. So going back to basics, what do we need to do? We need to cover the suture line, and covering the suture line is going to be something that's non-adhesive. So if I put an adhesive tape over the sutures, removing that is really uncomfortable. So my first layer of whatever that is a non-adhesive dressing. The second part of that is it's going to have a small amount of ability to absorb fluid. I'm not expecting to have very exudative wounds. They shouldn't be. There should be a clean, closed surgical field with some minor ooze. So just a minor amount of catchment should be all that's needed. If I am expecting more ooze, I will do a different dressing, but for most of my surgery, it's that. Then it comes down to the function for the patient. And different parts of the body have different issues. If something's near the mouth, as they're talking, the dressing's going to move and pull off. If it's on the neck, as they turn their neck around, it pulls off the edges of the dressing. Whilst if it's in the middle of the cheek, that's not a problem. So different areas of the face have different issues in terms of movement. So foreheads and cheeks are usually not a problem, but around the nose, the mouth, and on the neck, there's a lot of movement. So I have to design my dressings to make sure that they are flexible enough to move with the patient. As a consequence, often I can't get a waterproof dressing on. Most of those dressing materials, they need to be fixed in place and stay there. They're not as flexible a dressing for movement. One issue is I like to get a splash-proof or a waterproof dressing on for the patient, if I can, but if movement's going to destroy the dressing, that's a waste of time. So in terms of wound care instructions, I think it's very important that it's printed. Now we've got these lovely computers and fancy technology these days, but most of our patients are elderly. And so if we only provided them with electronic communication about their wound care, it's not likely to work. So I have printed instructions, pieces of paper that I hand to them saying, this is what I want you to do. I use the template of the paper and I handwrite specific things on that. So it'll have instructions about what to do, when to ring us, signs of infection, but then I'll write down specific issues if it's relevant to that particular patient. What's in my instructions for wound care? So the ice packs are part of the wound care instructions, as I've mentioned previously. So ice packs I find very useful, and it's written down how to use them and when to use them. I have instructions about what things to look out for in terms of the dressing coming away and when to change it over. So my wound care instructions will advise if there's a couple of spots of blood visible in the dressing, that's usually okay. If the entire dressing is filled with blood, it needs to be changed. There's instructions that if the dressing comes loose before the planned time of removal, how to change the dressing. So in general, I like the wound to stay covered for the entire time. And so if it does come loose earlier, there's instructions about gently peeling off the whole dressing, dabbing the area clean with some salty water, and I use the word dab and emphasize it's dabbing, not rubbing, so they don't irritate the sutures. So dabbing the wound clean with some salty water, dabbing the wound dry, and then recovering the wound. Now, whether that's with a waterproof dressing or with a standard large Band-Aid type dressing, it depends on what is available to the patient and what's practical for them.